so absolutely stoked to have Major Triad, Ivan, Ivan, entrepreneur,
That's right.
musician, producer, businessman, cultural figure.
Yeah.
What can't you do?
I still skate, so we're still there. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, I haven't skated in a year, and I'm wondering if that was the last time I'll ever skate.
Skateboarding?
You know, when they say there's going to be a day when you do your last jump, you know, they say, yeah, so I hope not. I hope not. But that's it. That's it.
It's incredible to see like what you've been able to do since, I guess, the last time I saw you about 11, 12 years ago.
12 years ago.
2007, 2008, Pittsburgh.
Holy fuck. Can I say fuck?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay.
Some basement in Oakland,
Right.
two of us just jamming on guitars, and look where you've taken it.
Oh my God. I think that was the house on
Was it Bouquet?
No, Semple? No, wait, could have been that.
I thought it was South Bouquet. But
There was like several places where we're all hanging out at. It was like James Krellner's house was one of them. South Bouquet, that was his house. Wherever they threw these crazy parties. We called it the dungeon. You came in on the first floor, I think.
It was definitely a dungeon.
And then you went downstairs, and it was like 5 floors going down, and every floor was like more dungeony. Man, and they had the pong table, and I think the absolute bottom dungeon. It was sketchy. It was sketchy, but that's college for you.
How did you do it? How did you put your life together?
It's hard. I think it's enough suffering will make you, do new things. They'll push. Being broke, for example, the restaurant, right? Being broke and starving made me cook. Being broke and desperate made me open up my own business. If I can't find the job I want, I'm going to make my own job. That's really, it's out of desperation. It's one of those things where, it's not that, capitalism does drive innovation, you could say. And being broke will drive motivation,
What was your story? Like, how did you end up in Pittsburgh? It was just for Pitt, like to come to school, or what was where did you grow up and how did you end up here?
Well, I grew up in Argentina. My parents are research scientists. So I was blessed enough to have parents that moved around a lot, even though you could say that moving around a lot didn't help me assimilate to one place, culture, and whatever. So I'm not Argentinian enough, and I'm not American enough. It's like, go back to your country. Which one? But my parents were research scientists, and since I was a kid, they would travel. They traveled to Chicago, back to Argentina, Pittsburgh, Argentina, back to Pittsburgh. It got to a point where my mom, I think it was her decision, was like, listen, we're staying here. And I was like, why not Florida? Why not California? But we're here, and this is home now. And they work at CMU. They're professors down there, research scientists for my dad at least. And that's why I ended up here. And that's why I ended up in Squirrel Hill, because my mom doesn't drive. So she had to walk to work. And CMU is like right up the hill from the golf course in Squirrel Hill, the Shenley golf course.
Amazing. Bob O'Connor's golf course.
Yeah.
Right? Bob O'Connor's Shenley Links.
Yeah, right. They have the sign right there at the curb, right where Forbes curbs. I think his sign is still up there. He lived around the corner on Melvin Street. Not Melvin, parallel to Melvin. That was Phillips.
Phillips, I know it well.
Yeah. So he lived, I think, right there, right by where Melvin Street, you know how Melvin's like one block?
Yep.
Well, he lived right there, basically.
Incredible.
Yeah. Those are my streets.
So what was your upbringing like?
I'd say sports. I was a swimmer, and then and I used to do pretty well with it. I competed for the YMCA in Chicago. I won a couple of state championships, and through the moving, I kind of lost some, not rehearsal, but just training. And then they put me back on, and I went to swim. I lost, and I was devastated. I didn't get anything. I was like, how dare I lose? And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go play some soccer. I wasn't good enough, and ended up just skateboarding. But always doing that, doing a little bit of art, always artsy fartsy, like to paint.
When did you find music?
Kurt Cobain on TV, MTV. It had to be year 2000. Watching MTV, I see Teen Spirit, and I lost it. I grabbed the pillows from the couch, tossed them around. I was like, this is amazing. Went on Napster and downloaded some more songs, smacked the speakers out of the... It was crazy. It was such a... And it's those formative years for music, because you're like, 15 years old, you're kind of coming from your preteen, what's it called? Preteen and puberty infused depression, and you discover music, and it's sort of music becomes the soundtrack to your life. So I had all this angst, and then when I listened to Nirvana, it just really brought it together. And I was like, if that dude could do it, I can do it too. There's no way, because you look at someone playing piano, I think of, classical musicians. I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's just so far out of my reach. Why even try? And then you see people that inspire you because you see some sort of a relation to that. I'm like, I can do that too. So I went to pianos and stuff and bought my first guitar. I got a little Fender pack. It was like amp and guitar. It was everything in one.
Yep. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, so many stories about people getting their gear at pianos and stuff in Blanox, and obviously, I have a relationship with that place too. I got my first DJ mixer was from there.
Wow.
There was like my I think DTM 56 or Vestax that I got before that, and we had a relationship with there was one called like it wasn't Power and Light. What was it called?
Northern Light and Sound.
Northern Light and Sound was the other big one that my mom used to cop through.
Really?
Yeah,
they're amazing.
Amazing
the
for
pricing,
rentals. We used to rent a lot of gear for weddings and bar mitzvahs and shit through them.
I discovered that place late in life, and I lived so close to it. And when I discovered it, I used to go there all the time. Last minute gaff and tape, last minute cable. I would just go down there, and the prices were ridiculous. People hated them.
Incredible. They used to bottom out. Like they would. I think they were one of those people like Guitar Center where they would match anything you could find online.
Yeah,
that was like when we would find these ridiculous deals for like one speaker, but it kind of looked like it was for both of the monitors. And then you take it into Guitar Center and be like, it's $300 for both the Yamahas. Let's go.
That's a deal. I love the Yamaha. Those speakers might be some of the best.
They're cool. Yeah.
The white. I had the black ones back in the day. But
yeah.
White ones are much cooler.
They're an upgrade from the Behringers that we used to mix on over at Joe's place.
Yeah, Behringer, man. They great gear always breaks. Yeah, I still have. I mean, I have my digital mixer for live audio is a Behringer, and it's amazing.
Why'd you go to guitar first, and then how'd you end up playing drums? Because I feel like it's more drums now, right?
Because I live on my own. When my parents were at my house, they didn't let me have it. They're like, "You're not playing that shit. Not when we get back from work." And during the daytime I was in school, and then the other time they're like, "Well, your neighbor." So I was like, "Well, then when do I play? You just don't." I got a digital kit and I had it for a while. That stuff's fun, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
And then when I had my own house, I made sure that I got a house with a big garage, no neighbors. I tried, you drive through Pittsburgh, you look at houses, you're like, well, that guy doesn't have neighbors. That's the house I want to be at. And I look for stuff like that. And where I'm at right now, I don't want to really leave because I have like a big warehouse next to my house, no neighbors.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what time of the day. And I mean 3, 4 in the morning, and I can blast it. The only one that would hear me sometimes is Fallon, who's like behind me up the hill.
Yep.
But there's another guy between us that plays drums. So some just like, are you playing drums? I'm like, nah, it's not me this time.
I was about to bring him up, man. He was one of the people that I feel like, I think when I interviewed him, I kind of started seeing you popping up on my feed again. I know that he has done some musical projects with you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I met him at that studio that was across the street from Alderdice. And it was the old studio from the owner. He had like some TV studio in there. And I don't know that he did anything with it. But you had the guys from Faded Industries in there. And we were all kind of together in there. And I built a recording studio. I built a pretty nice, big recording studio. Sucked that like the building sold a year later. And like as soon as I built it, we had to close it down. But during that time, Fallon would come bring his like computer tower and patch into my speakers and whatever setup I had there, which just was a comfortable environment to mix in. And that's where I met him. And I knew he did music, but I knew him as not a DJ, but an EDM artist, Cynic Lethal.
Yep.
And then he sort of just faded away with that stuff. And then randomly at some party, I like came in and I was drunk and I saw the computer. I see these tracks and I'm just on one. I went in there, started mixing his stuff. I don't think he noticed that I was touching all his stuff. And then He called me the next day. Now, I had just moved in behind his house.
Yeah.
And so he was right there. And yeah, he calls me the next day. He's like, "What did you do?" I'm like, "Oh shit, I fucked everything up." He said, "No, come over. I want you to come over." I was like, "I'll come over." And I'm like, "What's up?" I was like, "Yeah, so I paid this guy to do this," and he plays it. "And you did this." And I was like, "Oh, great, I mixed it." That's what I do. I was doing a lot of live sound, and I was just applying a lot of the things that I learned during my time doing live sound to that, because I did come from the world of recording, but that got so tiring, recording artists that have no money. The industry was changing.
Yeah.
And I felt that I wasn't good enough. When I went to live sound, I got a lot better. Coming back and doing that was kind of a relief. And I just got back. And with him for the past 2 years, we've been mixing an album that is being worked on with the guys from the Boondocks, the cartoon.
Right.
We did some cartoons, and now we're doing some with these guys. And it's probably one of the best projects I've been a part of, period, point blank, bar none. It sounds amazing. If we don't get a Grammy for this, I'm going to be pissed.
The thing is really cool. It's the Bad Cat, Good Cat joint. What's it called?
A Wicked Tale.
Yeah.
And I think you can find it at A Wicked Tale.
So dope.
I think that's what it is for the thing. And we haven't even released any of the new stuff that's out. It's not out.
I've seen him teasing it. The trumpeter, right, is like the main focus. He was trying to do an album with a guy who plays
Ian Gordon.
Jazz trumpeters. Yeah,
Ian Gordon, which I actually finally met him on his birthday last week, randomly.
Cool.
And I had just bought a microphone that's really good with horns. So it was just so serendipitous. I was like, "It's your birthday. He's here. Ivan, show up." The mic came in. We put the mic up, and then we just went to town with it. It was nice.
So you were playing, you bought the guitar.
Yeah.
You ended up starting to play drums. Were you taking lessons? How did you pivot to recording? And who taught you how to record live sound?
That's years later. Yeah. I was just playing, trying to be in a band. I thought I really had the idea, and I think a lot of us, the older I get and I talk to my friends that are still musicians at 30, 40, seems like we all had that same dream, like, I'm going to make it. I have plenty of time ahead of me to make it. If he made it, I can make it too, And so being 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, up till about 23, I was just trying to be in a band and play, just grunge music. But that was so dead at that time.
It got prettied up. Like, I guess things turned into like Bling era. Basically, so you had
Limp Bizkit, Korn, Blink,
right? So from the rock side, it was like rock rap,
right? And then you had Lil Wayne, which was you had this. I very much It starts in '95 after the death of Kurt Cobain, after the death of Tupac, and a couple other artists. You have a serious manufacturing of music in the music industry, which kind of was like that before. But this is where you have Britney Spears, the NSYNC, the Backstreet Boys, and that attitude of the labels really works into the 2000s, into this rap rock situation. They don't even want any real band. Everything is manufactured at that point.
It's all curated, and a lot of it from Europe, right? You had Max Martin, you had Uncle Luke, Dr. Luke. I mean, Dr. Luke, not Uncle Luke. You had like these European producers that were doing Euro pop. Coming in and creating projects in America and selling like ready to make songs like Britney Spears Circus or whatever.
Yeah, and that was interesting. And I think that I was, had I been born probably 10 years earlier, I might have had a chance. I'm not saying that I would, but like that, it would have been much different. But at that time, and it was rough. And then I got into recording because I was like, well, I want to record myself, and I was very interested in that, and I tried to go to school for it, but there's not many schools.
It was like Full Sail. Some people here went to in Florida, right?
In Florida, but
like
I couldn't leave. I didn't drive a freaking car. I skateboarded everywhere. I walked everywhere. I lived in the Triangle of Pittsburgh. If there was a bridge and water, I didn't cross. I lived in that little triangle. It was like pretty much, we could say, Point Breeze to downtown, Greenfield to Shady Side. That was it. I was like a dog in an invisible fence, and I lived right there. So I didn't move much. So I had to choose a school in there. One of them CMU, but you had to be part of the conservatory. That means you had to play a classical instrument to be in their program. And the other one was Duquesne University. And you still had to do something such as jazz guitar for that. And that's when I really started taking lessons. I didn't take any lessons until I was like 21, 22, if at all, actually 22, 23, I think, just about.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I was trying to do the recording. But then again, I had the same issue with recording where I thought I was going to go to school for this. And I'm gonna be one of these big studios. I'll serve coffee. You read the stories. You're like, I'm gonna show up and serve coffee to the guys and just clean up or whatever. And then I'll be like Trent. They'll let me use the studio on the off hours, and I'll develop a huge album and I'll be famous. But
Right.
those closed down. I remember sitting in class and my teacher being like, all those studios that they're all gone. And like it happened in those 2 years that I was in school. I finally get into a music school at Duquesne University. I'm doing the recording program. I got to 2 years, and I just remember working with floppy disks, and I was like, what the fuck? Because I'm one of the few kids that went to school late. So I already worked. I had a job. I lived in the real world. I played shows. I threw parties. And you have kids that went from their mama's house to college, and not only to college, to live on campus. They don't even walk out. They have no idea. They're children. They're literally so infantilized. These people should have been further ahead with that. But I'm so old, even though I'm like 5 years older. I'm so much older than a lot of these kids. And the way they're running this program is just like these teachers are failed. They're failed people. No disrespect to anyone at Duke University. There's some great teachers, but the grand majority of the guys holding to their dear job didn't make it outside. So they got a cushy job there and they don't want to lose. And they're running their programs, but they're not very effective at churning out productive members of society when it comes to music. And when I saw that, the studios are closing. I can do everything the way that you're doing it right now. It sounds phenomenal from home if you're really smart with it. Some of my friends were producing stuff, and I was like, wow, you did this from your bedroom. Why are you going to go to a crazy studio? And that was another disappointment where I thought I'd be working at a big studio, and that whole idea didn't exist anymore. I think they're making a comeback a little bit now. But we saw a lot of businesses like that go to hell, basically.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the actual studios you would have gone to, right? Like the alternative would have been just to do an apprenticeship with someone, right? Just like you were talking about, go sweep the floors, whatever. But what would it have been? Just ID Labs, but you weren't that interested in the hip hop side of things.
They didn't. Well,
Machine Age, but that was more techno. Like
and those places existed because of this change of the dying of the studios. They became much better because all they had was 2 monitors and a computer, maybe they one microphone. So their model survived. Their model is the model that survived. They had like several rooms that didn't require a $100,000 console in there and about $1 million in microphones. No, they didn't have to do that. And they were able to open up a business. I was hoping to be in a studio that they just don't exist anymore. And I can't even remember the names, but you could just imagine
Electric
any studio.
Ladyland.
Electric Lady. You could take any studio in New York that would have been big. Sound City Studios, that would have been a dream to be in that crusty place that produced some of the best albums in the world.
Yeah, Muscle Shoals.
But that was a disappointment. And from that, it just turned into, I'm going to open up my own studio. The economy was rough. That place closed, and I kind of quit. And that was like my 3rd studio I tried to open up in 5 years that failed. And it failed for good reason. There was just no market there. And I obviously I didn't know what I was doing, but I didn't know what I was doing anyways, And it was good enough, but not good enough for the market. And that's when I went to do live sound. I just said, fuck it, man. And also when I was working with my bands, it's like the band never got paid. It was such a struggle. And then
what was the band?
The band Vril at that time.
Vril?
Yeah,
you were
Vril.
playing drums?
No, I was singing and singer-songwriter, playing guitar.
Yeah.
Trying to do the Kurt Cobain shit.
Yeah. So that
Living on
didn't
the
break
edge.
through. The recording studio was a challenge. Can you explain the business model of a recording studio versus live sound? So how do you get paid for each one?
Well, first of all, you have $1 million to have a recording studio people want to show up at. So I think a big allure of the studio is what equipment do you have? And some people want to show up. What does your studio look like? And then some people want to show up. And it's like anything else, it's just a service industry where, you pay by the hour and you service a client, whatever they want, if they suck or not. You can take a client or not if you don't like them. But I didn't have the money to really fork out the necessary equipment for people to really come to me, but I did put up the walls, the soundproof in the windows. I did build really nice studios with floating floors, the whole 9 yards, because that didn't cost that much money, and I did the work. But I can't go build an interface. I can't go build a microphone, and I can't afford to buy it anyways. And it got to a point where, like, what was the point to try if I can't, no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't produce something that sounded good, because the reality is when I would A/B the quality of an expensive microphone of my interface, I was like, I'm just, this is shit. I'm not going anywhere.
Was it like access to capital issue?
Part of it, yeah. No one's going to give me money at that point. I don't have a business. I have no proof of concept except I built the rooms.
Yeah.
No album worth anything. My old recordings are okay, but they're not nothing worth. Don't pay me for that, because I'm spending so many hours to make sure it's okay.
What does it look like now? So do you have a recording studio now, or are you just doing live sound?
I have a little tiny studio at home that's better than anything I've ever had in my life. Even better some shit that people have out there because of the access of eBay and knowledge. And I went and bought stuff from the 70s. I have the same microphone that Neil Young uses. I have the same microphones that, that people recorded big albums with. I have the same mixer that Nirvana recorded Bleach in. I have the same speakers that, George Avakian would work with Duke Ellington in the studio after. Alex Avakian, do you know Alex Avakian?
No.
He grew up with us, but...
Well, how do you spell his last name?
Avakian, Avikian, Avakian.
Maybe, actually. What does he do?
Well, now he runs a construction company, but his grandfather was George Avakian. He invented the double-sided LP. And very low-key guy. He was thick in the industry. And the dude didn't want any, very private, super private guy.
That sounds very familiar.
But as I get older, I have access to all this crazy equipment. I sit home and that's kind of got me back into mixing a little bit. It's the fun of having the stuff that sounds good. And now I'm just trying to get, not an interface, but an A to D to A, which is analog to digital, digital to analog, where you forget the preamps. All it does is it grabs analog signal, digitizes, and back and forth. And then I want to plug that into my analog console. So basically it's a hybrid of between, like, actually I'm doing everything analog, and then it gets converted into a digital signal and back and forth.
I think I have a very, very cheap, exactly what you're talking about, ADDA, right behind me. Isn't a Serato box an example of an ADDA?
Interesting, yeah.
Because what it's doing is taking an analog signal from the turntable, converting it to digital. Right?
Yeah, but you need a preamp
and then it's sending it back to analog in order to plug it into the mixer.
Yep.
Maybe?
No, it's one of those small boxes.
Yeah.
And I had one of those. And one of those boxes is what made me quit also. It's because I got to hear the amount of audio that I was missing, because the A to D to A just takes a photograph, and like these interfaces will kind of just like, well, back here is not taking a nice photo of the edges, so I'll say, you're going to look at this, but we convert all this. If you went to the SPDIF on this, same thing would happen. It skips the preamps, and it kind of it goes directly into the converter crystals and takes a full photograph, but the audio sent through SPDIF is already chopped in a sense, so there's nothing to take a photo of here. So when I did that with my interfaces, and I got to hear what I was missing that I would be getting from a higher end piece of audio, I was like, fuck this, I don't want to play anymore. But that's what I want, so that I can get the most, where like you're basically in the analog domain, but you're just digitizing it.
Do you think that what's the secret? So I know you said you just have really expensive gear. My argument would be something like, that's not enough, right? Like, it's not enough just to have $1 million worth of gear. The actual success would come from interacting with and recruiting the right type of client who can come in and be successful, right? Like, pivoting from
the producer himself, the engineers.
That's what I'm saying. Getting away from engineering towards production, right? Isn't that really where the money is? Like being actually involved with the talent, so that you're going from, just being a passive space where people can come and do their art, to actually coaching people and bringing up people and helping them get where they need to go, and then getting your 5% or whatever.
That's good, but now you're dealing with contracts. You got to make sure you're getting paid, and then you're chasing that money anyways. I think that's a good job for some people that are good at it. I can't say I am a people person, not for money. I am a people person, but not for money. If you have to pay, if you say, Ivan, I'm going to pay you to do this, it's all fucked. If you say I just need some advice, hang out with me, I'll do it. But as soon as money gets involved, I just it's not.
I feel very similarly, man.
It's not
I
my
think that's
job.
why I ended up in medicine. Like the DJing side of things, you have to be so shisty in order to be a DJ with the money and the contracts and constantly harassing people, chasing
Being in a
people
band.
down. Same shit, right?
I chased this guy out of his own bar one day in an island.
I had. You were on an island?
Stuck. I had to use my last $100 to get my van and my audio equipment into an island to play a show for the second time. They hired us again, but they said your bassist drank so much booze.
Yeah.
We're not paying you.
Wow.
I said, bro, I can't get out of this island. You have to pay me.
Wait. You were on an island.
On an island.
Which one?
Bass Island. I don't know if you know where Putin Bay's at.
I know about that Putin interview.
Woo,
Wow.
baby.
Wow. They had some
Damn.
good lights. I need to get their lights.
You gotta get those. You gotta get those big box
telling
lights, man,
you.
and they make a difference. These are great, but we need.
We're not there, but
not
we'll
there.
get there. We're on our way. So
Yeah, one light at a
That's
time.
crazy. You're on an island. One time I was DJing. I think I still remember who it was for. I don't know if I want to air them out, but it's been like 15 years, so maybe I
probably
will.
know 'em.
I think it was like maybe it was like the Johns Hopkins School of Public Health.
Okay.
And they asked me to DJ a party for them. I was upstairs rocking. It was like 10, 15 minutes into the gig. The girl told me she was going to come through with the check at the gig. And I was just like, would so-and-so please come up to the DJ booth? Like I made a couple surreptitious announcements and like I went over to her and I was like, hey, like, do you have the check? Whatever. And she kind of like brushed me off. So I just started fading the music out. Like while people were on the dance floor, I just slowly like until it just got completely silent.
Until the money comes back.
And all of a sudden, somebody walked up with a check.
Why do I feel that? Did you tell me this story years ago? Or did this happen to someone else?
I don't know. I think it's kind of legendary. I've definitely told a couple of people about that shit because
It's either a legendary story
It truly
or
happened.
or it happens more than you'd like to
Absolutely
admit.
happened.
You know.
And you'd be shocked at how fast things move into place. How fast those cogs line up.
Some of the old guys that I do audio for, they don't start they show up and they take the money and they don't start the show. I'm a little different with my clients. I trust my clients. Plus, I'll show up to your door. I have all day to show up there until you give me that money. But the other people don't because they're running bigger business, bigger numbers too.
Yeah.
So, but that's it, and that's the reason why I left. I was playing weddings with a live band. I was doing work. Mad Mike was giving me a lot of work. Thank you, Mad Mike. Mad Mike's giving me a lot
Amazing
of work
guy. Yeah, what a
in
guy.
his life. Yeah, she let me stay in Florida when I did an empanada competition. We got first place. It was so weird, and everyone from the studio where we were with Isaac and Fade Industry people, for some reason, Josh Baez and Mustache Tom all happened to come that same week.
Wow.
So it was no one planned that, by the way. And then Isaac was down in Fort Myers, so he just drove up, and it was such a throwback to be there. But going back to
Did
the
they have
wedding
that
stuff.
White Diamond vodka or
It's Click Vodka.
Click vodka? Did they bring those
Woo, baby.
bottles?
No, that shit's been dead. I think they still make it. I think Noah's still pushing that stuff to some liquor shops.
It's got like a black label or whatever.
Yeah. Look, it wasn't the worst vodka. And it sure as hell gave you a fucking hangover.
Speaking of vodka, man, I always thought you were Russian.
Everyone thinks.
I just
Jewish
assumed.
and Russian. I'm only 5% Jewish.
I never thought Jewish.
And 5%. I just found out.
Oh.
So I'm gonna lead my body. Like I grew up in Squirrel Hill, so I'm leaning into it now. I'm like, guys, by the way,
You could get more business opportunities.
Yeah,
Who knows?
dude,
I mean, how do you think I became a doctor? Zionist Organization of America.
there
People
you go.
don't want to hear that story,
Look,
but it's 100% true.
Today I'm going to a very special meeting for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, man.
Yep.
I would have never joined if it wasn't for my partner Rachel. That she said, hey, you got to lean into the fact that you're a Latino.
Yeah.
And those people are going to be there and embrace your culture because that's there for you, you know?
We're broke, dude. Like, if you really think about it, like, what a leg up people have. Like, imagine Elon Musk's kids or like the children of any millionaire, multimillionaires, generational wealth, people who have all of these opportunities.
Built all that for you.
Exactly. My kids, hopefully they'll be like that. But
Right.
you and I didn't have that. So
No.
for us to ignore our cultural heritage and all these opportunities, it's insane. You absolutely have to lean into it.
You have to lean into it, and you have to lean into your community. And if you don't have one, you got to make your own. And I think that I was blessed enough to make my own. I would consider you part of that at least community. You know what I mean? And it's because it's all artists too. You know, I've known you from music, from being a pretty prominent local DJ, and now you have what I would consider a pretty prominent podcast.
We're getting there.
Yeah, it's nice. I love the way it sounds. I love the way it looks. I love the light that you shine on a lot of people that I grew up with and make them look bigger than life because they are.
They are.
You know, and
nobody else is doing it. Like that's the key is that there is no long form conversation in Pittsburgh. There's nobody else doing a podcast like this in Pittsburgh.
20 years of us doing shit in the city, and it really made the city. You know, if you think about what makes the city fun, the reality is it's been us putting together these underground shows, these not underground shows, coming together for these events. Have made it better, and I think right before the pandemic, when I bought my what would become a food truck, it was an audio truck to move stages and speakers, because I just invested in what was coming, because there was a festival every weekend in the summer.
Yes.
And they were freaking phenomenal. And then you had places like Spirit that opened up. They were the first bars to not have TVs inside of them. You know, so you can focus on the music. And they had a band every day or a DJ. And that changed a lot of the things and the attitude. And then even when you look at Thunderbird, you know, that was a super janky bar, but music happened, but they had TVs in there. And then when John, as a musician, said, you know, I'm going to do it my way, he kept the TVs in the front, but the rest of the place is musically oriented, and they have music upstairs, and they don't shut the TVs, but audio off. You want to look at the TV, fine, man. But other places will have the audio and the TV going while your band's hired to play there for like $100.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, you're so right. I mean, it's such a good point, and I also think about Brillo for that too, right? Like
yes,
places that are,
absolutely.
Like, very, very like oriented towards the art, that have reserved space in people's consciousness, in people's in people's attention, right? For actually consuming art. I guess the counter example would be something like the Smiling Moose, right? Where like there are still TVs upstairs, and you're not exactly.
If you don't want to watch the band, you just
go hang out with Real Deal and watch a game. Yeah, I mean it's such a sports town, right?
Yeah,
you have like this.
But it's changed.
It's changed immensely, and it's changed so much. I want to talk about the Hispanic community in Pittsburgh, because I had Alex Rivera on here, and he was talking about how things have changed here, and how, you know, there is a scene now, how there is really like. You know, there's food, there's music.
Right. I'm one of those. There's Latin food that really didn't exist much of besides your Mexican spot.
Exactly. So tell me about kind of what's going on with the Hispanic community in Pittsburgh, and how you fit in there.
Well, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce has always been there. When I started doing the empanadas, I did it to lean into just a little more money. Okay. And I was cooking. My friends liked my empanadas, and I was mixing music, and I was literally had a tray of cold empanadas next to my mixer while I mixed the band at some outdoor lot, and I was just making an extra couple bucks while I was doing that. But as you know, these Latin restaurants started opening up. You started seeing more people got exposed to Latin culture, which didn't really exist much besides like a taco, and it wasn't really Latin. It was Americans making tacos in a sense.
Like Condado, fucking nightmare tacos.
Nightmare tacos, dude. Oh, God.
Just add like 8 more ingredients, and it'll be better. How much shit can you put in one taco? That place is going to be out of business within 3 weeks.
They sell alcohol. That's why they're not.
Dude, every time I see a commercial on like TV, they've been spending so much on advertising. It proves to me, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is over. It's a wrap, dude.
We'll see. When, you know, on a political note, I've been going to Harrisburg and doing stuff with Latin Chamber of Commerce and trying to represent the Latino community, because I do speak English and I do speak Spanish, and I'm very well integrated in the American culture. I see myself as a vessel for people coming in to integrate to American culture. You know, I'm not saying lose your culture and leave your heritage behind. I'm saying keep it, but please integrate. This is America, and you'll have a better time if you integrate. You're coming to a country, at least learn how to live in this country, and you'll have a good time. You can live. Look, the United States is the only place in the world where you can live like anywhere in the world, okay, from home. While there's no other place in Spain, you got to live like a Spanish. In China, you live like a Chinese. In Russia, you live like a Russian. In Argentina, here you can live like all of those in your own enclave. At your own house. You can go to and find a market that sells the food that you want. You're not going to find that in other countries. I was just in Sri Lanka, man. Like, you can't find certain things. They just don't have it. It doesn't come as an import. Period.
I've always dreamed about going to Sri Lanka, man.
Beautiful.
They have the most different types of poisonous snakes of any place in the world.
What's the goal?
They have like 13 different venomous snakes. I used to have one, but I love snakes from like a very small child. My parents used to say I could speak parcel tongue before the word parcel tongue existed.
Interesting.
I used to communicate with them, but
I didn't get to go to the jungle. I just saw a lot of the tea plantations, and I spent some time at a tattoo convention. I got my whole back done.
Oh shit!
It was crazy. It was an experience.
That's so cool.
It's crazy.
What style?
Whatever they wanted. They go to town, guys. I said, let's do the thing. I did some. I worked with Nathan Mold from what's his place? He's one of the famous guys here.
Amazing.
And some dude from Nepal and one dude from California. You know, I met them. They talked to me a little bit. They got an idea for me, and then they came the next morning and said, we're going to do this. I said, I don't care. Just do it.
So cool. I'm all about that. I like to let the artists work. Do you know Matt, the dude at Morningstar who does the kaijus? He does like he does like Godzilla and all the different monsters. Mothra. So sick. You got to check him out.
He here in Pittsburgh?
Yeah. It's right by, is it called Morningstar? Yeah. It's right by it. It's in Lawrenceville. Like
they're not
by the wax shop. What's it called? Hot Kitty or something?
Is that down past 50th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 53 maybe.
I'm on the other side of Lawrenceville. That whole area is booming right now.
Oh, it's killer. Yeah.
It's like
Nugget was so smart to buy when he did.
Oh
it's
my
crazy.
God. Anyone that bought there 10 years ago.
Unbelievable.
Like my buddy said, I bought a house for $60,000. I sold for $400,000. He's like, I didn't touch it. He's like, I didn't touch anything. I just bought it, and then when the crazy hype happened, just sold.
But that's the challenge, is to know when to sell, right? It might go up to 2 million in 5 more years. You don't know. It's the same thing with Bitcoin or anything else that's moving up.
Yeah, let's go. Bring it up. Come on, keep going.
You're into it?
Oh yeah, I made some money. For a moment there, I lost money, but I was like, it's gonna go back up.
Made some money, meaning you sold?
No, right now I just have more money.
There's no money. There's no money, dude. You didn't make shit. What are you talking about?
The numbers look a little bigger. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't make shit.
But that's the thing about holding on to something. Normally it's like the cash is to buy the things here and now, and then you have assets that you sit on because they appreciate in value. I collect a lot of this vintage equipment I have.
Yeah.
Some of it I know where to buy it, so I'll buy it for pennies on the dollar from estate sales a lot of the times. And man, it's worth $100, $200, $300, $400, $500, $600 depending on the condition, depending who wants to buy it.
Yeah.
But I know that if I keep sitting on these things, they're going to be extremely valuable. They're of big quality, they sound great. And they have historical value, It's like collecting old cars. I fix some of them, some I don't, but I know that even the chassis alone is worth a lot of money,
I was told by one person in finance that I talked to, and also I've read, that cars, homes, books, records, musical equipment, none of those are assets. The only asset is a business, something that makes you money. Stocks and businesses, something that's actually, so stocks because of the dividend. So if you're taking dividends, exactly, dividend stocks, if you're taking a dividend, and a business where you're actually making cash, where it
always comes
giving you cash.
Here's cash for the day, because you can inflate it. The problem is inflation on some of those products, they just depreciate. They're not worth who wants to buy it. But if I'm selling food, I'm hand to mouth, but the money that comes in every day works for that day, that week, at least that month. And if things go to shit, which they have, I just raise my prices and I'm back at zero, With these items, you never know what's going to happen with them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but that's so cool that you became a business owner. Was it something you thought you would do, I guess?
In me, I think so.
Yeah.
I was selling little books for 25 cents in the corner in Chicago when I was a kid, and I loved it. I remember when someone loved me, and I said, and they gave me 25 cents. I remember, man, like that feeling of trading an object for cash. And I had like $3 by the end of the day, and I could go buy me a new Terminator from Toys R Us. That that capitalism at that young age, bro, changed my life. And then I'd be charging my parents to watch movies in their own house. So you're gonna go watch a movie, that's 25 cents.
Well,
I didn't understand. I was just working, dude.
they were your movies? Like you were renting out the DVDs to your
No,
parents?
they brought friends over, and I just figure I have to take a tax, for them hanging out in the living room. Otherwise, it's my Lego space,
Wow.
Yeah.
Spoiled.
Wow. Yeah. If you say so, yeah. But man,
You're taxing your parents?
That was a lesson. I think that they should let all kids figure that out. It was like, it's like go get we had a lot of snails in Argentina. Would eat the plants. As many snails as you bring is 5 cents each. And you go in there and just destroy the entire population of snails, and make sure your mom's plants grew nice and beautiful, and then you go and get yourself some candy or something.
Yeah. You were talking about the assimilation piece.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually pretty interesting because
oh yeah, let's go back to
there's a little bit of there's like a balance, right? So America is America and is great because of the multiculturalism,
Yes.
because of all the different people that live here and all the different
Axis.
like types of ideas and all the different religions, races, creeds, everything. Like that's what makes us America. That's why we're, I think, truly great.
The greatest
That is the
country in the world,
greatest.
yeah.
That is the greatness. It's the freedom to practice your own style of being an American. But I really think your point is very well taken that coming to America to live, if your goal is
be here.
live here
Yeah.
as an American, there is value to learning
Integrate.
English.
Yeah,
there is
learning-
value to learning about Americana, about whatever,
Getting into that
cowboys,
country
blue
music,
jeans,
man, that's
and
great.
whatever. Like, I mean, we did invent hip hop and jazz. So that's a lot, right?
Look, I find myself as a foreigner driving my box truck. Well, that's my truck. And blasting country music and just feeling the air as I'm going to go make money on a business that I run myself.
Yeah.
And you really feel it. You really feel it when you're getting it, your own money, when you're going and engaging the economy and it's on you to go get it, and you play that country music and you think of all these farmers and all these people that are running small businesses, the dude that owns the car shop, the dude that has the farm, the barber down the street, the small grocer. We're not talking about Walmart, Kmart, we're not talking about Target, we're talking about all the small businesses that exist in America. And you listen to that music, and for some reason, it really resonates. Now I don't sit there on my own time and blast country, but while I'm driving down to a job site and I'm playing it, getting it, I think it's very fitting.
Job site is one of your live show setups.
Yeah, it will be a gig. Yeah, either I'm doing a wedding and I'm doing the sound system for a band or a festival, or I'm driving to go sell empanadas in a small town that never saw an empanada before. And I'm getting it as a foreigner, and that is the American dream. I felt the American dream for a second until politics changed. When Trump got out of office, COVID happened, the protests, and whatever powers that are running the system decided to we're finally uniting, and then said, "No, you guys should hate each other." And I was like, "Oh man," I really lost a little bit of faith there, but it's coming. It's coming back.
What about back home in Argentina?
Forget it. Oh, well, with
Milei.
Milei.
I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
Yeah, I've heard.
Millei, maybe.
I just call him Malay, but it's Milei,
Yeah.
whatever. That dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a libertarian.
Yeah.
I like everything he says. Good luck. I think a lot of people, when you think about government, really forget how government's been run. We're going to look at this time in probably 20, 30 more years, and they're going to be making movies about the gangster mafiosos that have been in government that pushed a lot of these things that have happened recently. I think that there's
You mean
people,
here in the US?
yeah, in the United States. There's mafia, like mafia was with Al Capone.
Yeah.
Today,
Oligarchy. It's an oligarchy. We're being run by the haves, and they want us-
assassins, though, people that will murder you if you get in the way of their money. Look, if I'm making $1 billion, okay, a year. And you, I don't know who you are, but you come up to me and you threaten
Yeah.
the ability for me to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
My associates might not like you. I might not kill you, but someone might
Somebody will take
find
you
you.
out.
Someone will take you out.
Dude,
And you see it happening.
It
You see
clicked
it
for me
happening,
when
man.
I saw this video yesterday from the Super Bowl of Taylor Swift walking through the crowd to get to Travis to congratulate him for winning the Super
Mhm.
Bowl. And as she's walking, she has 4 security people that are clearing the way for her. One photographer blocks her path and kind of gets in her way, and a man just picks him up and moves him all the way into the periphery so that there's no obstruction to her path. And I was thinking about just how much money she generates and
For
how
so many people.
important of a person she is. Yeah. Yeah, for so many people.
You got to think about the whole scaffolding behind it. And when it comes to government, same thing. So let's go back to Javier Milei. When you look at Argentina, let's not fool ourselves. Argentina has been a narco state for at least since the early 1990s.
Right.
With the dollarization, where the dollar became 1 to 1, and when George Bush went down there and brought Menem into office, at the same time, we also produced the most amount of cocaine and exported the most amount of cocaine than any other country. Obviously, Colombia shows as one of the prime exporters, but you'd be surprised that one of the biggest refiners of cocaine is in Argentina. And when you think about narco states, it's the same thing. Some people, and also I believe in legalize all drugs, make it commerce, fair commerce. You want to buy something, go buy it. It's on you, man.
Right.
I don't think
Right.
because when you make them illegal,
Not trank. Not
no,
like
no,
poison.
that's different. No,
Yeah,
see,
not
I
poison.
believe that. Look, listen, I've
Clean
lost so
heroin,
many friends.
clean cocaine,
Yeah.
no fentanyl. Nobody would want fentanyl.
I don't know a single person that ever died from doing heroin. And I was in the shit when I was younger. I've seen it. I've done it. The only people that ever overdosed, went to rehab, came out, and used again. And that's where they overdosed. And they were scared for people to know that they were relapsing, so they would die in a bathroom alone. And it's the saddest thing. You know how many people died in that Squirrel Hill bathroom at the bottom for Starbucks? Many. I know 2 people personally that I went to school for. I lost 5 friends in the matter of a year that they were full-blown addicts, and then just the fentanyl itself killed them. That's not a drug. That's just a poison that kills people. That should be very, very much legal. But for an
Illegal.
addict, illegal, very illegal.
That's what happened.
Very illegal.
I mean, Mac Miller.
Mac
died
Miller,
from
the
fentanyl
fake
poisoning.
fake
Fakes
Percocet
oxy,
pills.
yeah, fake oxycodone,
They're
which is
fake
Percocet.
perks. They were the fake perks. The blue, your typical 30s that they call them. And I've seen what it does to people. I've seen the market, and I think that there are a lot of people that are making money in that illegal trade that don't want that to stop. The only people that want to keep it illegal are the people that are making money from it. That's the reality of it, because they stand to lose a lot of that money. So when you look at Javier Milei and he says, hey, I'm going to stop doing this and that and this and that, the reason why we're there is because Argentina is superbly corrupt. A lot of the people that are at the very top in Argentina are narcos. They know about the narcos. They're complicit in the dealing of it. They pay people to keep them poor. They created a welfare state. And this is why things went downhill, and that's why, people leave and left, and that's one of the reasons I'm here. They pay the poorest of the people a stipend of like $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And they make sure that they keep voting for these people, and everyone in between, all the people that need jobs, all the people that have businesses, and the rest of the government gets destroyed. And they're so fed up with it, they voted for a guy that's not right, it's not left. They went for the complete other guy, who's a complete nut job, as they say. But no, the reality is he's as fed up as everyone else, and he's speaking. And he's a person of the Javier.
Yeah.
And he's a person of the people, but we just got here, and people are acting like he changed anything. No, man, there are towns in Argentina completely run by narcos. Yeah. There's serious poverty. People are still receiving these what they call them plans, which is a welfare ticket, where like you basically just get free money.
What happened during COVID? That was the first time I ever got money from the government.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
we get the tax
after?
returns, but that's my money.
Yeah,
right. That's
they
just
took that money already. They just kind of give you some of it back.
I just paid a little too much in taxes throughout the year. That's not the government sending me money during COVID. They send me a check for $800 2 times.
Twice.
I looked at it. I said, what the fuck is this?
Oh, I knew it was
I am
coming.
able-bodied. I am a healthy white man, whatever. I can make money. Like, what are you doing?
Let me make my money.
What are you doing?
Dude.
That was the weirdest thing.
I said to someone online, I left Facebook about a year ago plus.
Yeah, yeah.
Just kept getting suspended, and just the attitude, the attitude that was going in there was just not conducive of healthy relationships with people and just society in general. But I remember telling this dude, I was like, you know how inflation works? I was like, if you have $1 and you print another one, it has some value, basically. You know, the price of a chair is the price of a chair. If we exchange it for $1 and then you go printing $2, well, the price of the chair is the price of the chair. Your dollar now is split into two, so it's 50 cents. It's basic freaking math. If you print more money, people save money according to the value of what a chair was.
Right.
Or what
The chair costs $2 now, not 50 cents. Your dollar is worth 50
cents. Yeah, the chair. You know what I mean? So, and this dude was arguing with me, and that's when I realized that I had to get away from engaging in those spaces because
it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But
Reddit's been that for me lately.
I left.
Pittsburgh Reddit was like, fuck, man.
I got banned from like all the accounts.
They're incredibly left. It's very like it's very UK centric. You know how like in Europe in general, the politics is just a little left of here, like maybe a lot left of here. They've got that. I feel like everybody on Reddit is British for some reason.
I think that Reddit is run mostly by a small minority, which are the mods, the moderators.
Yeah.
And when you look at mod meetups, like please go and look at the photos of mod meetups. You're going to understand the person that you're up against. A lot of these people are on welfare and social security because they're mentally ill and they can't work. So they're in a basement sometimes at their parents' house, or rarely do they live alone. Normally they don't live a long life. They normally end up committing suicide or dying, and we haven't even seen these people mature in life because they don't have kids, they don't have families, they don't have jobs, and their entire life revolves around going online and kind of whatever issues they have with people, they just go in and they don't let people have conversations. I've gone on r/science and asked a very, very normal scientific conversation. They immediately banned me because I was not allowed to talk about it.
Wow.
I'm not even going to get into those things. I'm not even going to talk about it.
We don't have to talk about your flat Earth situation.
Yeah, we don't want to talk square Earth, okay?
The faked moon landing. We don't have to get into any of it. Stanley Kubrick.
Boy, what a G, dude! Yeah. What a G!
Yeah.
What a good film guy. Like he was so good that the government would say, "Hey, man,
we need your help.
We need your
like, yo, that 2001 looked good
last year." Yeah, no. The thing is, like, the one you made last year, dude. Just leave the sets where they are. Don't touch it. Can you bring some of those over?
He's like, they're gonna be able to see the fishing line, man. Like, this isn't gonna work. It's like, no, they'll believe it.
No, let's go play. Look, let's just go play golf on the moon. Come on, let's have some fun, dude.
Well,
let's have some fun.
The computers that they did it on were made of actual threads.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Like the knots. Like
the knots with
the memory. The RAM
which,
was
a little ring that gets magnetized or unmagnetized.
Yeah, by
made
actual
by hand.
humans tying strings. That was the computer that they took them to the moon.
I've seen that. Yeah, I mean,
69.
Wow, yeah, surprising we never went back. And then when we started looking at things just blow up and people die. Woo.
Elon will get us back there.
I think that
Falcon,
Elon knows
Falcon
that we're
9
look, this is my. Let's get into conspiracy. I don't believe that we as human meat sacks are meant to leave our lower atmosphere, and that any further than us leaving lower atmosphere causes so many issues with our biology that we would mentally degrade and physically degrade before we make it to the next planet.
I know somebody who studies that. Mark Rosenberg, amazing guy. One of the nicest things anyone ever did for me. I was giving grand rounds at MUSC in Charleston. I was talking about ataxia, which is a cerebellar disorder where you can't walk right, can't talk right.
Is that where like you kind of feel like you're gonna fall?
Yeah, it's like alcohol, right?
Yeah.
I noticed I'd forgotten my watch, and when you're giving a talk in that kind of scenario, knowing how much time you have left is critical. You know, I was speaking to the entire university.
Wow.
The entire department chair, division chair, everyone. So I asked him if I could borrow his watch, and he gave me his Omega Speedmaster.
Did it help you
the
with
moon
your balance
watch,
too?
The frickin' moon watch, dude.
Yeah.
And he lent it to me for the talk. It was one of the nicest things anybody's ever done. It was really, really cool. A little small on my wrist with a clasp and everything, but it was fine. Anyway, shout out to Mark. What he studies is the physiology of space travel. Mm-hmm. And specifically, he studies space blindness. which has to do with the vision changes experienced by astronauts that are in prolonged zero G.
Is it the eyeball that changes because of the lack of the weight, or?
So that's what he studies. His impression, as far as I understand it, is that it actually has to do with venous clotting. That in outer space, there's transient thickening of the blood in the venous sinuses, which causes back pressure on the eye, similar to this process we call idiopathic intracranial hypertension, where you have elevated pressure in the eyes related to an inability to drain the spinal fluid.
Yeah. I just bought have you heard of grounding blankets? No.
No, I love that. Oh, is it for EMFs? Like to block out EMFs?
No, I wonder if it actually does that too. I'm gonna look into that. But for what I understand is that walking in carpets made of plastic, and we're constantly connected with so much static electricity. We're like charged.
Yes.
We don't have cotton. We're not touching wood. We're not going outside. We're not stepping on the grass without shoes.
I did today, right before I saw you. I was out on the ground with my shoes off.
Grounded.
It was beautiful sunny day today. Had my you saw my outfit. You saw my riff-raff outfit.
I was like, are we ready? Do I have to wait an hour? Taking a shower? What's going on here? But I was reading about that, and I've been reading about minerals and what minerals do in the body, as far as what's an electrolyte, which is a mineral, which actually contains a charge or receives a charge. And I learned that our capillaries and all the extremities, all the capillaries, which are the small blood vessels in our body, they don't work on the beating of the heart. So the beating heart is not pushing that. It actually works on, it's like an electric rail gun, where the blood cells, according to charge, if they have the minerals, can have the charge to be magnetically carried on these small
osmotic.
vessels.
Yeah, there's like osmotic gradients, basically.
Am I right? You're the doctor.
It's oncotic and osmotic forces that lead to the movement of solutes from the venous, from the arterial capillary beds into the venous capillary beds.
Okay. So is
my understanding. I'm not like a. So it's been a while since I took physiology.
That's the thing. So this grounding blanket, technically, what it does is it's like kind of dissipates the charge from your body, and what it does is it's actually, because the blood actually inside. It'd be funny, we're talking about being in space and what happens with the blood. The blood will basically just lump up, and it's harder for it to move around. So when you dissipate that electricity, the blood actually kind of repels each other and travels better, so you all your inflammation goes away, and blood flow is basically promoted.
I wouldn't spend too much on it yet.
$50.
Yeah, I don't know. What I was thinking you were talking about was Faraday cages, which I'm actually into.
Me too. I was thinking about one for my phone when I travel.
Yes. Faraday cage underwear, Faraday cage pants, whatever. Like,
hats.
Let's block those EMFs. Yeah, man, tinfoil hat all the way.
I turn my phone off at bed anymore, because if I have it and I'm charging it, they say not to do that. I swear I don't sleep very well.
Yeah, I'd like to be more grounded when I sleep also. More like a cave, right? Like our ancestors would have slept.
I mean, you plug that thing right into it. They gave you a little thing to test if your ground works, and then literally it's just the boop for the ground. You put the boop, plug it to the blanket.
The other thing is, you're talking about how the blood in the capillaries doesn't have any pressure to move.
Yes.
The blood in your veins doesn't have any pressure to move. You want to talk about a way to improve your health, right? People who don't exercise, the blood just pools in their veins, man.
Yeah.
The only way that the blood leaves the veins, it's not because of the heart.
There's
no heart to push it.
The muscles that will help pump. They say you have two hearts. The other heart's in your calves.
It's just muscle action against one-way valves. So the veins have valves, and the arteries do not. That's why when they take the vein out of your leg to put into your heart, when you get a CABG, a coronary artery bypass graft, they flip it inside out and take it inside out and then sew it on.
No.
So that the valves are on the outside.
That's really cool. Science.
The saphenous vein.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then your leg swells up.
I had very bad varicose veins growing up. I think it was a combination of American diet and just poor genetics. But they had to rip my veins out. I was like, well, where's the blood going to go? They go through the other ones. All right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. So tell me about the lessons that you've learned as a business owner. So what are some of the pitfalls? Like if I wanted to, and I do, I'll tell you a little bit about my plan. So I want to start a restaurant, I guess ultimately, I think it will start as a pop-up or a food truck. I'd like to start with like dinners for my friends where I can kind of demonstrate that I can cook and that my food is beautiful and delicious. But the idea is meat and fruit on one side, and then yeah, so there's one that's called meat and fruit, which would be like there'd be like 3 dishes to start with. One would be ribeye and papaya, one would be chicken thigh and mango, and the other would be a classic tuna tartare with tuna and avocado.
Make sure you invite me.
Well, absolutely. No, you're key. You have to come in order to tell me.
Bring empanadas.
I'd like to know what you think about it. But that's the idea, is just serving food the way that I think people should be eating, which is meat and fruit, and dairy and honey.
Yeah, I agree. My diet is basically meat and just some organic vegetables. I basically just eat meat. And I've never felt better, and that's why I've had issues with my diet for a while, and I was always sick and always tired, and everyone, well, not everyone, but some people, oh, you're always sick and tired. I said, well, I don't know. And you know, as soon as I changed my diet, man, it's immediate.
Game changer, right?
Game changer, man.
Yeah. For weight loss, this is the other thing that people don't know.
Lost weight, eating eggs and beef.
Dude,
fatty
people don't
beef.
realize that the reason that they're fat is because they're hungry all the time, because the food that they're eating has no nutritional value.
Yeah. Yeah, because the body's like more, but
you're
more
starving.
Because you haven't hit your level of zinc, of magnesium, of iron. You haven't hit this, so your body's like still hungry, and you're just receiving just more fat, carbs, sugar in like 20 different ways.
The reason exactly, and it all turns into sugar.
It all turns into sugar.
It all turns into fat, right? Every sugar, every glucose molecule gets stored as fat.
But fat turns into energy.
It can't, absolutely.
Okay,
no,
well,
eating fat, dietary fat is beautiful, but visceral fat is not. So visceral fat is not good. Dietary fat is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which is confusing to people, right?
Yeah.
They're like, I don't want to be
explain
fat.
That real quick for me?
Yeah, I don't want to be fat. Why should I eat fat? Well, because fat is an amazing source of nutrition if it's the right type of fat.
And most of the vitamins and minerals are actually stored in the fat.
You got it. I mean, it's highly nutritious. It has, you know, like as long as you're getting the right types of fats.
Yellow
right?
fat. So I always say. I say this, at least for someone that, you know, that engages. Grass-fed fat is going to be the best fat. Yellow fat is going to have the most amount of vitamins and minerals. That's what I know.
Right. Yeah. K2. I know there's K2, calcium, vitamin D. You know what I'm saying? There's like a lot of
ones you need
stuff.
to be happy.
Yeah. Or right. That's the other thing, is that joy. Right. It comes from sunlight. It comes from grounding, like you said, from being out in nature and reconnecting with what makes you a human, which is eating food that looks like food. So I really love meat. I love the idea that your business is centered around meat. It's pretty incredible, especially beef, right? Because for me, the cow, that's really where it lives. That's the most healthful. And ground beef, I actually think, is by far and away the easiest way to get that nutrition.
Right.
I really encourage people to eat ground beef. So I think it's awesome what you're doing for many reasons. But why doesn't Chipotle have ground beef?
Don't they? Don't they have?
Never.
What? Well, the Cordoba then, the one that they have. Oh no, it's not. Where's the ground pork? It's not ground beef. It's ground pork, right?
Exactly. There's something about it that, like, people don't get it, how amazing it is, but it's truly like phenomenal. It doesn't take much seasoning, right? What do you use? Cumin,
beef, nothing.
Salt.
Well, for the empanadas, yeah, cumin, salt, paprika, garlic.
Nice.
And those are pretty much those 3 spices right there are pretty much going to constitute almost every Argentinian dish when you look at it. Argentinian cuisine is basically Italian cuisine, some indigenous mix of Italian and Spanish, but Spanish is the same thing, paprika, garlic, and cumin. But and the empanada is one of the oldest foods that has ever existed, which is a way to preserve foods, and it goes back to the Middle East. On how to preserve foods for long periods of time, up to a week. The health department would kill me if I said you do that, but historicity says that you could basically make an empanada or put food or meat inside of bread, cook it, and you get about a week to 10 days if you're lucky.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And I mean, there's so many, it really is a beautiful way to eat and a beautiful type of food. I mean, the dumpling, right? The soup dumpling.
Yeah.
There's something very homey about it. Something
about
that
biting into
mom
something,
did. Yeah.
just popping in. There's food inside of it. It's almost like some primal instinct of eating a little animal.
There's a little surprise.
A little surprise in there. Thought of that. The psychology of that. The psychology of eating an empanada. What is it?
It is, and it's moist. You know, it stays moist. The meat stays moist because of the fact that it's inside. Yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful option. We miss the croquetas too. That's the other thing you gotta maybe hook us up with.
You talking about the croquettes, like French ones?
Well, it's a Cuban food that we used to get in Miami.
I don't think I've had one.
Ham croquetas, those little round circles of deep fried ham and dough.
Nope.
Oh,
not in Argentina, but I have to try it.
Oh my God. Amazing.
In Argentina.
Yeah.
Yeah, Argentina's surprising. They just eat fucking meat. That's it. Forget about it. And I'm talking about 9 out of 10 times it's meat with meat, maybe an egg.
Yeah.
Some French fries, and a puny little. I'm talking about like the saddest of salads. They'll put a little bowl with like lettuce, and
it's a garnish, right? Like, do we have an Argentinian steakhouse here where you can go get churrasco?
One just opened up, Valbanera on Station. I haven't eaten.
Haven't gone yet.
Apparently, it's by some Argentinian chef that's very famous. I am not plugged in with too much culture as far as who's who in Argentina. I know that the guy's some famous chef who opened up there. Gaucho is an American guy whose mom or dad is from Argentina. Shout out to Anthony. And he does a really good take on Argentinian foods, but sometimes it's access. And I think that the thing that really makes it Argentina is just grass-fed beef from Argentina. Nice. There's nothing like it, and you're just not going to get it. Even if you grab the same cuts or whatnot and you cook it here, it's just not going to come out the same way.
Did you ever have picanha?
Yes, and that's a Brazilian cut.
Yeah.
Delicious.
I never had it. It looks like a New York strip on steroids.
Yeah, with big,
fat
real thick piece of fat. Oh man, so cool. And that's that fat that you can really eat, not that chewy stuff.
Yeah, it gets rendered.
Yeah,
I've been getting better at rendering fat, like on the smoker, or I'll put my steaks into the oven and just leave them there 225, 30 minutes before I cook.
Oh,
doesn't cook the meat.
But it just renders
the fat down, and then you can throw it. You can hit it with like a blowtorch, or you can put it on the skillet, cast iron skillet, and sear both sides.
So what? From doctor to what? To running a restaurant? Don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Do not look.
Just in my side time.
Like, listen, I advise anyone until the economy gets a little bit better or things change.
Yeah.
The last business you want to open up right now is a restaurant.
Really?
By all means and purposes, it is the absolute worst business you can get into.
Why?
The economy, just inflation has been one of it. We haven't been able to adjust the prices of wages and the cost of food to make sense. The reality is that my empanadas cost $2 when I started, $3 when I opened, $4 a year later. Now they're $5, now $5.50. The reality is I should be selling them at $8 to $10 each to really compensate for the inflation that my restaurant had in the past 2 years. So it's really hard for me to really adjust that type of inflation, and also wages. You know, the wages back pre-COVID were $10 to $12 an hour. $15 an hour was a really good pay for a kitchen job. And now you're talking about, $15 is the minimum you want to be playing at, because you're not going to find anyone, let alone someone that it wants to even keep the job at all. And I was talking to someone about paying, and like the reality is I should be paying people $25, $30 an hour in the restaurant to equate the buying power pre-COVID. So you got to really adjust those things and to say, hey, I can't afford, I don't even fucking make, I'm not even going to make nowhere near, I don't even make $20 an hour. Let's just put it that way. I'm the owner. Okay.
But you're working 24/7.
And you work 24/7. I have the blessing to say I don't go to work today. I got the blessing to some days just take a week out, but I'm always answering calls. Like, it doesn't fucking stop.
Yeah. And doing the video spots, going on TV.
Trying to get my political career started.
Show. Yeah?
Yeah. So, and that's the other one. So the other thing is I've noticed a lot of the people in politics, they're almost all, I'd say a grand majority of them have been business people. They've owned a business. I think that they've been so disgruntled with running a business that they enter politics because of that. And I feel that.
I'd rather they were. I think there's a big mistake thinking that you can go into politics like a Joe Biden having never
That's fucking criminal.
done anything.
That guy's a criminal.
He's never done anything.
He's a criminal.
He's a career politician.
He's a career criminal.
What has he done in his life ever other than be a senator?
He ruined more African American families than anyone else in history.
Oh, the crime bill when he voted for the crime bill,
dude. And bro, it's crazy.
Well, what's the problem with sending somebody away for crack for 30 years with the same exact amount of cocaine that would go for 5?
That your son smokes, of course. You know
what do you mean? That wasn't Hunter's. That was in the coat room. The cocaine.
No. All the videos of him smoking crack.
Who do you think it was?
Dude, he'd probably do those. Look, listen, man. If you know anything,
somebody on the guest list. They still haven't tracked it down. Look, they know everybody in the White House, right?
I do have a degree in social science. Okay, I'm not saying that means anything, but I did graduate with it. Like, despite the cooking, despite the music, the sound, I actually do have 2 degrees, okay? Yeah. And they're both in social sciences, marketing and advertisement, okay? I understand human beings pretty well. I read a lot about human nature for a long time. It fascinates me. Yeah. And to believe that these people in Washington, D.C. are not out doing cocaine, eating Molly, drinking, partying, and fucking, and that there's this little straight-laced people. You look at the White House right now, which is, we have a big queer community in Pittsburgh. I'm really, really tight with all of those people. I've partied in questionable places. And I've seen how people behave. And when you look at DC and you say, hey, man, there's a culture there right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they're partying too. You're going to tell me those people don't have a life outside of working in government?
For sure.
So, I think people are people. And then that goes back to pretending that things don't exist, or pretending that certain underground markets don't exist, or certain economies don't exist, or someone makes money from selling weed, and then that's the job. That's their job. Just make sure you do a good job doing it. I don't think anyone should be chastised for selling or buying anything, unless obviously something that's killing people. I think that we should have a free commerce, and people should choose. I think that if you made weed legal and anyone could sell it like lettuce in a corner, less people would. Because there'll be competition. It wouldn't make much money. It would be just another fucking job. Literally would just be another job, and to think that those people. So whose cocaine is it? It's one of those staffers. Maybe the one that was getting pegged on the.
Oh, Jesus.
On the off. Did you see the video of that? That was real.
I didn't see the video. I didn't
look at the
video. I saw the photos.
No.
You watched the video?
I watched the whole thing, man. I sat there attentively, just made fucking popcorn and watched it from different angles. No, but it's impressive that people are ballsy like that.
With the harness in the Senate chamber.
Yeah, it's insane. But the thing is,
there were also the boobs on the White House lawn. Remember?
Oh yeah, but that's
in the Rose Garden.
2023. Boobs on anything. They're not even fun anymore. It's just But the reality is these are people.
Boobs, maybe?
Whatever boobs, they look pretty good sometimes. I'm surprised. Yeah. Doctors they've gotten really good where I can't tell if a boob is fake sometimes. Before it was like fake boobs. Now it's like I don't even know. I'm gonna have to.
Well, they're just going smaller. It's just
that's probably it. That's crazy.
And under the muscle, it's very hard to tell.
And they turn. Oh, interesting. Yeah, they turn into a hard rock from the calcification. It's awful. They got to get new ones every 10 years. It's
changed out like tires.
It is. Look, man.
I don't want to go there. I think people should be free. Adults. Yeah, adults should be free to do whatever they want with their bodies, right? If you can find a doctor to do it, and it's relatively safe.
I think we should also treat each other a little nicer and ourselves nicer. I think that there's a big issue that this whole body dysmorphia thing.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like it. I think that when people get, and I as a kid, I obviously wanted to look and be a certain way, have really long fingers, I have a big nose, small beady eyes, and and you think about it, but as I get older,
you're very good looking, but
thank you. You too. No, see,
I've also got a bit of a schnoz on me, so
but you feel a certain kind of way. But the reality is that, and I like if you saw my woman, she has a big schnoz. I like them, and what I realize is that you've been told by magazines. I love it, and you're told these things from magazines and this corporate Hollywood ideology. But when you get older, you learn to love yourself a lot more. And if you can just wait it out until you hit 30 and you realize that you fall into your body and realize sometimes you look better when you're older than you did when you were younger, that you can really get past a lot of those things. And we're pushing these ideas and putting a lot of pressure on teenagers. They're in the middle of puberty and they're fucked up in the head. These are what we call formative years, and we're completely disinformating their years in a sense. And instead of letting them find out who they are, and helping them by not coaching but mentoring people to love themselves and to be adults, functioning adults. Instead we emasculate them, and at the same time we give them all this dangerous power for them to make awful decisions that really, when you look at it, it's just to make certain people rich.
Yeah, I mean, I had a med school friend named Eitan Heim, who's a whistleblower right now against the Baylor College of Medicine, Baylor Hospital system in Houston, I believe. Interesting case, interesting situation happening. But the bottom line is, kids can't get tattoos, kids can't join the military, kids can't buy a gun,
smoke cigarettes,
kids can't smoke cigarettes, whatever.
Drive.
There's absolutely no reason that they should be able to cut parts of their bodies off. That
I have friends that did it at 25,
Can't
30
grow
years
back.
old.
Lose.
That's fine.
Exactly.
At that time, you made a
That's
decision.
your choice. You're an adult.
But you also
You're an
made a
adult.
decision in life. Like people don't, and they say that people don't really, once you hit about 23, 25, if you haven't changed as a person, there's very little chances that you're going to. And my proof is I'm 38 and I've lived through that. And I've lived through that cycle. I've seen people turn 25. And I'm telling you that people they do change, but some things just don't change. If you're gay at 25, you're not going to be straight. So,
What if you're gay at 14, 15, 13?
that you're gay. And that's fine. And I think that we should cherish the fact that that's how you are,
Yeah.
and love yourself and be gay. I think, and the thing, what I always say is like, what happened to being gay?
Yeah. That's an interesting part, and there's such a beautiful analogy for it, right? Because every time we add a stripe, you know how they're adding those stripes to
Yeah.
the side of the rainbow flag.
Yeah.
As they keep adding that like encroaching triangle, the rest of the flag gets smaller. Right? So it's literally a visual depiction of the death of the gay community as transgenderism expands.
You know, and I've
A
had
lot of these folks would just grow up as, I think, gay men and gay women.
have transgender friends. Yeah, exactly. I have transgender friends, but like legitimately, I feel like they grew up they're older, so they grew up under a different culture of transgenderism. So, you know, I think that there is a percentage of people who are transgender, and honestly, so they haven't been pushed into that environment.
Yeah.
Many gay friends, and everything in between. But I think that, you know, it's been commodified and it's being advertised, and I think people that wouldn't do it or are being they're finding comfort in the fact that it's propaganda. It's propaganda. It's marketing. People are making money from it, and that's the reason why it keeps getting pushed. Because if there was no money in it, it would die tomorrow. And those that are transgender would be, and those that are gay
per surgery.
per surgery, and then a lifetime of you have to upkeep every day medications. A lot of people, and it's painful.
Expanders, tissue expanders.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
And then ingrown hairs that grow
Pain.
inside of you, and they're painful. You have to take
we don't wanna get there.
medication.
I would never ever want to tell anyone how to live ever. But I do think that kids are confused.
Kids are so confused.
We
and,
don't
like,
know.
You know. What makes you a
we
man?
don't have an idea.
If you study, it's not ethnography. What's the other one you study? Cultures.
Anthropology
Is it anthropology
or sociology?
No, when you study another tribe or another culture.
Ethnography?
No, ethnography is the writing, right? I think so. Hold on. What is it? I guess it would be anthropology, right?
I think so.
The study of other people's cultures. You know, and you look at what is a ritual, and you know, and what is a rite of passage. Almost in every culture that you look at, even ones that have been separated forever or never met, they all have puberty rituals. You know, when the girl has her period, it's a ritual. When the man can have sex, that's a ritual. And people are fostered to be a man, to be a woman. we have this idea that somehow inside of us we know what we're gonna be when we're pretty much a blank slate. So if you raise me gay, I'm very likely going to be gay, and the other way too. And you have people that have effeminate qualities, and those can fall one way or another. But when you have cultures that instead of infantilize you, does the opposite. We adult you instead.
Yeah.
Not in a perverse way, in the way to procreate and to keep this whole culture and life and people going on for the next thousands of years. Those rituals help us become into a man,
Right.
but you also
Bar
can become into a
mitzvah,
man.
communion,
Quinceañera,
quinceañera, yeah.
and you do those
The
things. that help
debutante
you.
ball, one of my favorites.
What is that?
That was from the South, from the American South.
Tell me.
The debutante ball, when she comes out as a woman, 13, 14 years old, they'd throw a big party for women.
But they're all the
Their
same.
coming of age ritual.
But dude, they're all the same.
Isn't that awesome?
They're all the same.
Oh, absolutely.
They're all
Absolutely.
maturity rituals in a sense, and that helps people understand because you can still become a man and choose to be gay. But when you don't have any of that and we don't talk about it and we erase it and we blur the lines, you ask a kid, bro, what do you want? I don't fucking know what I want. I don't know what I want. Tell him, please help me understand this world that I was just born 10 years ago. I have no freaking clue. Can you help me out?
Yeah.
I think that we're missing that, and we're missing the point of what it means to be a human being. And you can be whatever you want, and I believe in full freedom. But I think the commodification of sexuality, of education, of the prison complex, and of health have destroyed society into absolute oblivion. And we're living in a world today, 30 years later, from what I remember, that is completely different. Now, some things are better, don't get me wrong, but a lot of things are absolutely detrimental, and that's why we see so much mental illness. I think that a lot of these people could live a happy life, straight, gay, with a family, with no family, with your cats, just with your dog, if we respect those things and also understand ourselves a little bit better. I think that we've been not, well, obviously manipulated, but we've been thrown for a spin that we don't know who we are. We don't know what we're supposed to do. We don't like our jobs anymore. We take no pride in our communities. We take no pride in our families and ourselves. Everyone's depressed. Everyone's having a bad time. We're being robbed left and right. We're all poor at this point, and it's like, and then they have these race and sexual riots and race and sexual riots and divisions between us. Meanwhile, everyone else at the top is just pickpocketing us. Yeah, they're stacking cash from behind our pockets while we're not looking.
Yep. Taxing us on money that we were already taxed on. Taxing us on the front end, taxing us on the back end, taxing us to give the money to our kids, taxing us to own a house, taxing us to rent a house, taxing us for the insurance to protect our house, taxing us for our car, charging us a fee to own a car, charging us a fee to maintain the car, to certify the car, a title tag, a fee to move the car into
for an
a
hour
different
saying
state.
all this, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy when you think about it. It is literally crazy, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of these people become politicians is because of when you sit there and go down that rabbit hole, you will get pissed off.
Yeah, but we do need to support the most vulnerable members of our society.
Course, yes,
and it has to start with the community.
Yeah.
So, I understand that that's also part of what you do with the food, right? I mean, you're also helping out the community where you all are. Where is the shop?
The shop's in Lawrenceville, and we provide something different for the area. We've hired an extreme eclectic group of people.
Amazing.
I've had trans, gay, Black, Latino. Actually, funny thing, the least amount of Latinos in a Latin restaurant.
Yeah.
Americans, people from Nicaragua, people that are fostered in America from different countries. I've had so many amazing people because I get to choose, and that's how you change the world. So when you have a business, you have power to make those decisions. When you say, well, that place doesn't hire this, that place doesn't hire that. Well, I can hire whatever I want. I get to be the change, and I think that's one of the things about being a business that is very important in the amount of power you have within your community. You're giving people jobs. That's how they make a living. That's how they pay rent. That's how they support their families. That's how they support themselves. That's how they support their vices or whatever it is that they do. And when you understand that, you realize that you're kind of like a father figure in a sense. You have kids, your employees, because the funny thing is, like, when it comes to the asking and the things that they need, it's like having children. They need things. They have needs to do their jobs, and they're doing their best thing. And you have to trust them, and you have to guide them. There is a product that we're selling. There is a mission in the company that we have, and once they understand that, it is a communal thing. You can, I've given jobs to some kids that no one else would get jobs with, and because I can talk to them, because I've had a rough. Now, I haven't had a rough upbringing, but purposefully I put myself in rough situations. No one gave me that,
Right.
but I got to see what it's like to be in certain environments, and I've been able to give kids momentarily some work and talk to them and kind of help them kind of just float away.
That's cool.
Float.
There was a coffee shop back in South Florida that used to hire people with like criminal records. They were okay with hiring folks that had felonies or misdemeanors, multiple misdemeanors, whatever. I remember I thought that was pretty cool. Like, it's pretty tough. once you get that one, and it's just part of your record. And then anytime you try to apply for a job,
oh man, no one gets
you're screwed. And it's like, where do you start? What if you want to pivot out of that lifestyle and try to get straight?
It's almost impossible.
It's
literally almost impossible.
You just need one person to give you a shot. So I thought that was pretty cool that coffee shop did that. What you were talking about, the costs of of running the business, and you said things like you wouldn't recommend someone to go into the restaurant business now. Getting me scared, but.
No, it's a reality check. If you're gonna do it, you do it because you love it. Because if it's about money, you don't.
Definitely
do
not.
it.
What is the actual breakdown of the cost? So if you take one empanada, right, and you're selling it for, I think you said $5.50, how much of the cost? I don't know what it is. Maybe $3 or whatever goes into labor. How much is the actual food? How much is the rent on the upkeep, the business, whatever?
Labor
the
tends
licenses.
to be, when it was labor tends to, you want labor to be like 20-30%, but I pay higher wages because I know these are human beings, and I'm like around like 45%, which is insane. It's absolutely insane compared to other restaurants. And then cost of food, after you sell it, your cost of making it should be 1/3. It's like a 1/3 rule. That's almost all businesses run on that. And compared to people that manufactures 1 to 10, 1 to 12, it should cost you 1/10 or 12th if you're producing an object versus if you're selling food, because there's just so much production going on there, and food's much quicker turnaround, so it's going to be a lot higher. But you're looking at that. You're looking at like a 30-40% really in cost of labor, and then you're looking at 1/3. It should be your cost of production. Now the problem was that with food costs went up 400%, and no one wants to talk about that. So when they say inflation is this and that, that's the biggest problem. A lot of my money, I was making decent money until the COVID thing went, and my chicken thighs that would have been $35 suddenly are costing $140 for a case. You do the math. Every 100% is a doubling of the price.
That's what goes into the chicken empanadas.
Yeah,
it's
always. That's the secret. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, thigh is amazing.
Breast is
that's definitely like General Tso's is always thigh.
Yeah,
basically like dark meat, just
Dark
has
meat.
so much more flavor.
So much more fat.
People who eat chicken breast, I guess they just hate themselves.
I don't know why you would do that, and they don't even cook it right.
There's no flavor. It has no flavor. It only tastes like whatever you season it with,
put on it,
and whatever you put on it.
And the best thing is to eat it with the skin.
The skin is nice. I love chicken skin.
They used to tell me not to eat chicken skin.
You know what schmaltz is?
I keep my schmaltz, and I reintroduce it.
Beautiful.
I know.
Beautiful.
That's a big secret. I'll say that one big secret of the empanadas is don't throw the schmaltz. Let's put it back in.
Do they get baked? They're not fried, right? They're baked?
The what?
The
they're baked.
Yeah.
They look fried because it's puff pastry.
Yeah. Beautiful.
But they're baked. Yeah.
What is puff pastry? Like
puff
what goes
pastry
into
is
the
a
bread?
layered pastry. So, a croissant is basically a puff pastry. Anything that flakes.
So there's butter?
Yeah, there's butter layers in between. It's a whole process.
Wow.
No one wants to do that. People are like, oh, I'm going to sell empanadas. It depends what kind of empanada. You got the Creole style, which is just the regular dough shell. And then you have the puff pastry. for someone who wants to make empanadas as an appetizer dish at the restaurant, it becomes really difficult because if you're gonna make empanadas, you might as well go make 1,000, because making 20 and 1,000 is, just getting started is a lot, or the amount of dough that you want to work with. We make everything in house. The focus is the empanadas, and we make a puff pastry. It's very, very difficult to do that. It's very hard to nail it, and you need qualified people to be making that on a daily basis to keep a product the quality that we have, and we do try to serve the best. We have no seed oils. And most of the food, the vegan stuff is a little difficult.
Amazing.
But we transfer all the meat options are no seed oil, grass-fed butter, and grass-fed lamb. If I could just find grass-fed beef, ground beef, I would buy it. No supplier has it, and it's superbly expensive.
Interesting. What about, I guess that's not a supplier, but like my farmer, where is he? It's a little town that starts with I, like Iona or I. That's where the farm is, and it's called like the Family Cow. The Family Cow is the name of the farm. They sell me ground beef, but obviously it's not going to be cheap enough or enough.
Even from the source, it's the problem is I found people that have good stuff.
Irwin. There we
by
go.
Greensburg.
Did it.
There's a place called Hill Farms that I love. If you guys, but don't buy all their food because I need to buy some of it. But if you check them out, they're in Apollo, on the way to basically Irwin, and there's some really, really good farms that you'll find at the farmers market in Greensburg when they have their farm. And I recommend even driving an hour to Greensburg's night market when they have it. Find out this year, because some of the vendors that you have there are some of the best I've seen in any night market. Prices are great and just a lot of fun, and you'll find me there sometimes.
Do you ever? Does an empanada ever need to be dipped? Can it be dipped?
According to my mother, no. When I said, "Mom, I'm making chimichurri and sauce for the empanada," she says, "Why? That doesn't need it." And it's one of those arguments. But I said, "Mom, we're in America, and this is a saucy town."
It's a saucy town. People like to dip.
Yeah, you like to dip. Like the double dip, triple dip.
My kids love dipping.
Let's all dip.
I have a 1-year-old who dips.
Dips?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Loves to dip.
You can't give a kid any food without dip at this point. But no, yeah, now we have a lot of sauces, and they're delicious.
Oh, cool.
And, it started with the chimichurri sauce, which is our classic sauce. We normally just use that on grilled meat, or we rub it on the chicken as we cook it. But the idea, I've never seen an empanada and chimichurri. That's definitely an American thing. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyone from Argentina, please correct me on this one. But I don't ever remember being given chimichurri as a side at any empanada house my entire life. Unless things change, things do get Americanized. They have IPAs now over there. And I went there in 2020, right before the pandemic, like 2 months before all the closures. And I remember trying to get food. And I go sit down. Bagel and lox. I was pissed. I was like, I live in Squirrel Hill. I didn't come all the way to Argentina to eat bagels and lox. Are you kidding me? You don't even have salmon around here. Where are you bringing this from? I just wanted to eat Argentinian food. Next was pizza, burger. I'm like, oh my God. And it looked like Lawrenceville. Argentina.
Buenos Aires?
No, Cordoba, which is a smaller city too. I'd expect that in Buenos Aires. I really would. But I did not expect that my city had been so Americanized. And I think one of the things that did that was the advent of social media. Before we're 5-10 years behind from any trend, and now because of the internet, they're right on it.
Yeah. Still, with all of the challenges, you have been quite successful.
Yes.
You have a brick and mortar.
Yes.
It's been open for
3 years now.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So what are the lessons? What would you tell somebody else who wants to succeed? Not don't do this, but these are the things that I've done that have worked for me and might work also for you.
One of them is have a mission. Do it because you have a mission. Don't just go out there and just sell food because Americans buy food, because you're going to end up selling poison. It's not going to be it. To have a product, at least create something that's really good and focus on that. A small menu is always going to be better than a big menu, right? And I've realized that I've shrunk my menu to just make sure that I have the things I do have are the best things. Focus on a niche. I'm the empanada guy. Okay, I can make other things, and we do sometimes do little specials, but we just make empanadas. And man, you have to be tenacious too. It's not easy, and people call you all day, every day, and about everything. You're always answering emails. Things fall to the wayside. You could be on vacation, and you're going to be answering that at the beach. Someone calls you for an emergency. What I've learned though is leave the phone, don't answer. Trust me, they're going to figure it out. I'll turn my phone on, and I'll be like, "Oh, Ivan, this and that. Oh, we figured it out. Thank God I didn't answer." And it's like that's where the whole like it's like having kids. If you're constantly mothering your children, then you don't give them a chance to become an adult. And I think is watching them make mistakes and being around instead of doing it for them is one of the best things you can do. And they will assemble themselves and they will work together. That's one of the best things that I've learned most recently in stepping into my boss shoes. So you got to remember that I'm coming from being an employee. It's really hard telling other people what to do when your whole life you've been an employee. And so stepping into the shoes in the role of being the owner or the boss of an organization in general and being able to speak, galvanize, communicate. Your job as an owner is to give those people the tools for them to do their job, and they will bitch at you and they will ask you for things. And that is the job. Instead of, ugh, why is this? Why are they calling? No, that is my job. I take a lot of pride in when they come, do you need anything? What can I do for you? I'll buy you a new one. I'll get you another one. Don't use this. Let me help you out with that. But I'm not there to do their job. That's why you hire people to do those jobs. And I've done every little job in the business that at any point I can drop it and I can go do the dishes. I can go make the empanadas. I can make the sauces, a sandwich. At night, I'm running the shop by myself, doing everything. I'm not doing any prep, but I'm running basically the entire operation by myself late night for the drunks, it's what I wanted to do at the beginning, and then COVID hit. And I'm feeding people from 9 to 3 a.m., basically, 2 a.m. But I'm there till
that's
3.
so cool.
Yeah, I'm there till 3 a.m. though. So, but if you knock on my door and I have empanadas sitting, I will open that and hustle those empanadas right out, dude. It's a lot of fun, but that's why I'm on a backward schedule and waking up at like 2 in the afternoon every day. I don't see the sun.
Well, this is, such a huge look, right? I now know where to go as soon as the Gold
Get
Mark
food?
closes.
Oh yeah.
Or even whenever I leave, it's
Yeah.
like, this is the Lawrenceville dip, right? Just like the moon sauce. What was the name of?
Oh, the moon sauce the moon
place in
sauce from
Southside?
Cambodia.
Yeah, Cambodia was
man.
was the dip in the South Side. Maybe a
Yeah.
little Permanentes, but really Cambodia.
Cambodia was. He said to me, I was like, "When do you close?" He said, "When people stop walking in." You want to do with a hat?
That was it. Yeah, that was it.
That shit stuck with me. And that was right before I opened up the restaurant. I was asking a lot of questions and I would hear little valuable lessons. And that was one of them. I close whenever the money stops coming in, basically.
Who did you learn from in order to put this together? Who were the people that you emulated, or what were the businesses that you felt like had it right?
Well, can't say they all had it right, but because everyone has a different mission, as I was saying. But I was working for Tootie's in the South Side for Carl. And, I was doing deliveries for him and I saw his operation. I was like, man, you don't need a lot to make something happen. And he had these bomb Italian beef sandwiches. Really good dude too. Unfortunately, the pandemic really got him. But that was one of the guys. Then the Cambodian guy just watches. And most of the time just watching, just looking. I worked at Aladdin's for a little bit. And so I knew what it was like to run a kitchen to a certain degree and work the line. But just looking at other people's reading, I read and I study as much as I can. If school taught me anything, was how to teach myself. Not that school's not going to teach you anything. As a matter of fact, by the time you're out of school, everything that you learned is obsolete. So you got to learn again. But being able to be resourceful with yourself is a very important thing. And I think if you're very resourceful with yourself and have the patience to spend some time learning about something new that it might seem dense and you don't even want to learn about it, you're going to be successful at anything you do, period. Really.
I love that. What about from the music side of things? So what are the keys to being successful in mobile sound? How do you make sure that you don't forget something?
In live audio.
And yeah. How do you make sure that you don't, not have what you need? And when you encounter a problem, how do you fix it and on the fly and kind of, how do you anticipate those issues and how can you be successful there?
I love that question. I'll tell you why. Because I would say being a sound guy is super easy. To be a sound guy, it's very, very easy. Trust me. The hard part is troubleshooting. What the fuck do you do when you forgot something? What the fuck do you do when the cable's not long enough? What do you do when something doesn't work and you got to fix it on the fly, like you said? And that separates the majority of the pros from the people just coming in. I always tell, when you look at a mixer, normally you have the gain, you have an equalizer. Normally it's the high frequencies, middle and low, and then a volume knob. That's it. And then pan, or forget the pan, it's irrelevant. A lot of times you're not even panning things when you're doing live sound. Just get it through the speaker. That's the main goal. But if it's too much low end, just turn it down. Not enough, turn it up. Is it hurting your ear because it's too high? Turn the highs down. It's as basic as that. Is it too loud? Turn it down. Not loud enough, turn it up. Now turn it up, you have some feedback. Well, you should know how to notch frequencies out so that you can really maximize the sound in whatever room or speaker you have. But it's pretty simple at the end of the day. You'll blow up a lot of subs in the process and speakers, but it's a pretty simple gig, and I love it. But you use your ears, and since it's something you can't see a lot of the times, that's where it can become really difficult. Because you're literally like a bat, just closing your eyes and hearing things and finding out what object, like I'm looking at this, which one of these knobs is the one I need to go to. That's the hard part, finding the source of the problem and fixing it. But otherwise, it's pretty basic. It's a lot of fun. You get to you get to sit where it sounds the best, right? 'Cause you're mixing from wherever you're standing. It sounds the best. You get to enjoy every show in the city. I mean, the amount of bands I've heard, every style is awesome. And if you're good at it, you get to basically EQ your own show. I mean, it's kind of like being a DJ. You play the songs that you want, and you mix them how you want to hear them. And everyone else benefits. I should have a tip jar.
You probably do get to DJ some, right? Between the bands. And
I put the iPad, but no DJ. I thought of being a DJ, and it's the whole wedding thing. Like I was saying, for a moment, I was working for Mad Mike doing weddings, playing guitar and playing with some bands, and it was such a miserable existence. Because if you do it for the art and you do like the art of playing music, you're not playing the music that you want, and it is definitely high stakes. A wedding it's the best day of these people. You can't fuck anything up. That made me good. Working audio for weddings for other companies and playing and realizing that you get one shot and you got to make it freaking work. It's a lot of pressure. But some people like me, at least, I thrive under pressure. Something turns on in my head. At first, I normally get blush and disoriented, and maybe there's like a chemical thing going on where like once I come out of that, I'm in a trance and I'm really working it out, and I not tunnel vision per se, but I'm in a zone.
Yeah, flow state.
Flow state, that's what it is. Flow state. And man, I'll work 16, 18 hours nonstop.
Amazing.
It's crazy. But then when you get home, your body goes whomp and you're done for like a day. But
What were some of those more memorable shows? Were you at some of what clubs were you at in Pittsburgh, or was it always
outdoors
mobile thing?
Yeah, outdoors. My favorite ones, I've worked at Spirit. I've done sound at Spirit. I've done sound at Cativo. Some of my favorite shows have been at Cativo. Surprisingly, has a good sound system. Shout out to Frank.
Southside.
No, that's in Lawrenceville, Cativo. It was around the corner from Goldmark kind of thing.
Oh yeah, on that
on the side
little off
street. Yeah, on the left when you go down towards the river on the left.
Yep.
They had two venues, one upstairs, one downstairs. They had a pretty good staff. The owner was really cool, and they kept everything neat, and I liked that because I was able to do my job. Especially, that's an issue with a lot of sound guys. If you're not neat, you don't roll your cables right, if you don't keep your equipment the right way, when you go do a show, then your shit's broken, it doesn't work, or you can't find it, or it's knotted, and you're wasting time. That's the worst thing. So everything was neat. I was doing good shows there. I've done sound at the Thunderbird, pre new Thunderbird. I've worked at Brillo as well. I really like Brillo, same thing. Shout out to Lou, that place was great. I at least kept it in order. I was a little disastrous when I got in, but then I got some things and I put them all together and organized it a little bit. But then a lot of the stuff I did working for this guy, Vince Steed, up in Cranberry, was live sound for big weddings and events. And I got to do sound for the Temptations. Oh, wow. I got to set up sound for the vice president. I got to be there when the president would come and do speeches. He did some of the most elite audio of any company in Pittsburgh. That is his clientele. And I learned a lot. I didn't know who I was working for at the beginning, but that stuff was very formative in how I ran my businesses, and the opportunities that I got to run audio. And then I got to do sound with my own companies. And that was the fun part where I'm the boss. I got to do the things. I talk to the client. I deal with the bands and I make sure that they have the best time. And being a musician myself was really nice because that someone comes like, what do I do? It's like, set up like you're at home. Don't worry about it. I'll work with you. Oh, you're such a nice sound guy. There's all these disgruntled sound guys. They're oh, what? Yeah, what's this? Turn this down. I'm like, nah, man, sit up. I'll work around you. If I have a real problem, I'll let you know. You got to play music. You're the star.
Yeah.
Star kid. Come on, just sing. And that's really nice. And also, it's not that I get to fuck off, but I'm part of the party. I get to engage. I get to enjoy the whole experience. You know, they feed you with drinks. They shower you with food, and you get to be part of the celebrations. I think that I'm in the entertainment industry. Basically, I'm working the weddings. I'm selling food at the weddings. I am doing audio at the weddings. I'm playing at the weddings. I'm playing at the festival. I'm selling food at the festival. I'm running audio at the festival. And it basically, I think it's one of the most rituals in life are what makes us human beings. The idea of concert shows and in food, gorging on food, entertainment, dance, music, it's just like we're doing everything else so that we can do that. So everything else that we do, of course, medicine is so that we don't freaking die and we can stay healthy. But almost every other job is a service for everyday quotidian life situations. But once those things are taken care of, all their time and money goes to entertain ourselves.
Totally. Leisure activities. Yeah. Consumption. That's awesome. Yeah. So one of the, absolute happiest times of my entire life was out of this Freilichtfest in Michaelskirche, which is out Schwäbisch Hall in Germany. I was with my two friends, one of whom is named Tilman Steurer, and the other is Elias Frech. We had been invited by some girls to go see this concert, Starlight.
Did you travel with all these friends from the U.S., or did you meet them over there?
So Elias was our German exchange student.
Okay.
But I met him because we were both skateboarders.
Wait, you skateboarded too?
At the skate park.
Did I know you when you skateboarded? No.
I was skating when I met you for sure. Like, yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. We met at the skate park in Schwäbisch Hall. I was there because there was a kid who came. He was kind of lame. Like we played chess together, but other than that, we didn't really click. Because I don't know, that was it. And when I went to the skate park, I saw Elias. He was in the same class, so I recognized him. His English wasn't as good as Conrad's, but it became fluent because he came to America like 3 more times to visit me and my family. And then his whole family came. His best friend, Anna, was, with my sister. And then his younger brother, his younger sister, both of them came and stayed with us multiple times.
So now you're in Germany.
And yeah. So I'm at the Michaelskirche Freilichtfest, whatever. The girls had invited us. Beautiful, unbelievable, every star in the sky. You're out, the crisp air. It's like summertime in Germany.
I felt that when you said that.
We found the food that was supposed to be for everybody at the end of the show before. Like there was one cart that was just full of food, and me and Tillman had discovered it, just us. It was these rolls with the most fresh bread with butter on the bread,
Lord.
and olive loaf, like these like
they're
cold
all about
cuts.
the bread too.
It was so fresh with the mustard, the zenf, and that butter. And and the little cucumber slices on there. And we just started eating one after another. We were just smashing these fucking sandwiches. And then he and I look at each other. And we just start bawling, laughing. Like nothing was ever so funny in the world. Because we just realized how we're just like animals. Just human animals. Just stealing food off a cart. We found the fucking nuts. We were squirrels. Literally, yeah. We had discovered it and just shoving our faces, man. It was awesome. Oh man. So what? So like, how many LLCs are there, man? You have like the recording studio is a business. You have
the
your
audio is a
own
business.
audio.
The Mi Empanada is a business, and I just opened one with Fallon, which is a label. It's kind of set up for the cartoon and production that's going to be coming out, and for future. Kind of set myself up. That was a lesson from Mi Empanada. I started selling the empanadas in $100, $200, $600, $1,000 later, it's petty cash. But, there was a point, it's like, hey, I don't know what's going to happen, but this keeps growing. It's on the side burner, but it keeps growing. I'm going to open up an LLC and make it a legitimate business so that the money comes in. I can, kind of just foster something. I never expected it to become anything, I'll be honest with you. But because I had set myself up with an LLC and a bank account, the day that first check came in, it just spiraled. It was just snowballed, into in a whole business. Next thing you know, I am opening up a brick and mortar. Even just looking back, I think yesterday was 6 years since we opened, since we started the first pop-up.
Incredible.
And I just saw that. It's crazy. It's one of those things that shows up. It's like, oh my God, it's actually to the year right about now, 6 years ago, I was in it now, and the LLC was open probably 4 or 5 months earlier. My first pop-up was really about a month ago, but now I was really in it at this point.
So awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to be learned from it, but something like stick to it, right? Have a good mission, like you said, but then also don't give up, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have
keep your
hiccups.
day job until you can't go to it anymore.
The other thing we have to absolutely mention is Lumpia Larry's, right? Is Bamboo, Vince Gancia, right?
Yes.
It's like, who's also been on the podcast.
Is he cooking now? Did I see that? Is
that
new?
Yes. He has a pop-up called Lumpia Larry's, which
you gotta, I just saw that. You gotta fill me in on
Filipino food, really beautiful little rice rolls. There's meat. It's kind of similar, right? Similar idea. There's meat inside and there's a rice wrapper on the outside, but it's always dipped. His is like, I think, dipped into either hot sauce or different types of like lemongrass and just like really beautiful oils. I think I've been really impressed. I tried to get into one of his pop-ups and there were no seats. Like he's sold them out. I mean, and he's doing them in other people's restaurants, basically where they'll let him cook in their kitchen, and then he'll
awesome.
Sell tables
at their restaurant. I got to do that at Studio AM when they were in Homestead. That was one of them. They gave me the kitchen.
Dope.
I got to do that. Another thing I wanted to mention was that, all this talking and all the people that are cooking, I've realized that a lot of musicians are really good cooks. And it seems to be, it seems to be a trend. I mean, even look at Mr. Robert Belaski Buku.
Yes, dope cook, really good.
Dope
ass
shout out
cook,
Rob.
I love his little food videos. I hope he keeps doing that.
Oh, he makes great food. Oh, even Zach Bombich, Mr. Jax, dope cook as well. Ridiculous cook. Like he spends all his money on bomb food.
Amazing. I'm looking forward to checking that one out. What about Bun B? Bun B, Trill Burgers.
Who's that?
Onyx just posted.
Bonnix?
Bun B.
Are you serious? Him too? He was just at the restaurant like 3 weeks ago.
Amazing. So Bun B was serving Bonnix cheeseburgers in Vegas last time he was there.
Kidding.
Trill Burgers. Who else has done it? Wiz was trying to. Remember his bowls? The stoner bowls?
Yeah, he had the...
I ate one.
How was it?
It's actually quite good. It was very small. Like, it is not nearly enough food, which I was very upset about, because if you're serving food for stoners... like,
yeah, you want to give them the big plate.
Hypothetically, you're serving
he was running
with
a
the
ghost
munchies here.
kitchen downstairs of Franctuary. That's where they were running his little operation. And that was when the pandemic hit and they were doing only delivery. I don't know if there was other...
For Wiz?
Yeah.
Interesting. And then the other one, which we must mention, absolutely, Mom's Spaghetti, Eminem, Mom's Spaghetti in Detroit. They showed it when...
That's the place.
When the Lions were on their playoff run, they kept on showing the meatballs.
You got to be kidding me.
I haven't eaten that one yet. I'm looking forward to it. Wow. But it doesn't look that special, to be honest. It looks like pretty basic.
It depends how involved the musician is. Look, listen, if the musician himself makes you the food, it's going to be bomb. If it's just a spin-off of an idea of a person being used as the face of a brand, that's, I think, a little bit different, But all these musicians I know are just absolutely phenomenal. And I'm going to just say straight up chefs, because they're not just cooking you. They're making pizza dough and throwing it in an uni and everything. They're making mozzarella from scratch. It's crazy. They're doing it.
I'm looking forward to you checking out my food. Based God is the other concept that I came up with. BASTE.
Based.
Because I really do love basting the meat. I'm all about it.
Based God.
You like that? Yeah. And then Rap God would be the other one. If I do like a vegan.
Wraps.
Yeah, Rap, WRAP God, and Based God. So Based God for the meat side.
Oh, God.
And then this is for like the food truck that I bring to the festivals, where I have the yoga on the roof, and then I have, selling my merch and whatever, DJing at night. But then during the day, we're selling food out, and half of it has one color scheme, the other half has the other color scheme. Half is just for meat and fruit, like the Based God, and the other half is for the Rap God, which is my kale wraps with the vegan A's and the just like whatever, all of the amazing vegetarian food that I used to live on when I was in New York City.
I think Pittsburgh is ready for that, for your idea.
Dope.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing something to fruition. Maybe it'll happen before I leave. Maybe it'll happen once I hit the next town.
I think that we're definitely going through a transformation when it comes to Pittsburgh and coming out of COVID in a sense, and we will see a revival in more daring businesses that right now cannot sustain themselves because there's no room for error or for investment. You got to go in there. You got to pretty much get your money unless you have some sort of extra backing.
But there's a lot of open space, right? Because a lot of people folded.
Exactly.
So now you have an opportunity.
Find decent rent in a good spot. I think Lawrenceville still has plenty of open storefronts that can become pretty decent businesses, and I really hope that it's good food.
Would you ever franchise it out?
I want to do that. It's just a lot of work. I'm trying to get into distribution right now, and I'm in the works of that. Funny story is I try to go buy a shipping, like one of those mobile office shipping containers to add an extension to my restaurant, only to find out it was a scam. I drove all the way to Ohio. The place didn't exist. I went off on them, and then only to find out that on Google, every result sponsored, they're all freaking scams. So I can't find a single
shipping container.
I can't find a shipping container. They're all scams on eBay, on Facebook. They're raking so much money. They're from Nigeria, and Laos. Like someone already discovered who these people are. They're making so much money because they're scamming $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $10,000 at a time, even $20,000 at a time. The fact that they're able to even get that money is crazy to me, but they're making so much money that they're investing so much money to the point where, like, when you go on Google and search, it is, you can't find a freaking company.
In Miami, there was a spot called Container Bar where the whole thing was just built of shipping containers.
Mm-hmm.
See if they know something.
I'm asking peer to peer at this point because I don't trust anything anymore.
Crazy.
But trying to do this so I can do distribution and hopefully
how much does a shipping container cost?
Depends. I actually saw some that like kind of fold out, kind of like boop. They're like this like Lego thingy, and those are about $5,000.
Okay,
that's not bad. It's a pretty good investment for just a.
It's like corrugated steel or whatever.
I don't know. Well, there's the metal shipping ones, and there's other ones that are made probably of composite or something like that, and they unfold into the shipping container. And that's kind of what I want. I want something with windows on it. I don't want it to look a little rusty. Sometimes you get a shipping container for your land, and you put stuff in there. I need something with windows and a nice.
I want
door
to bury a bus.
A what?
I want to bury a bus.
Excuse me. Bury the bus underground, so you just have your shell.
That is my bunker.
Holy shit! Genius.
So run the exhaust out as like a filtration system. Filter the air. Have a water, a cistern coming in.
And year round, it probably stays a good temperature.
Beautiful, cold for my canning. I can keep all my vegetables, all my canned vegetables, my pickles, my jarred tomatoes.
I want that. I want to have a little one of those slightly submerged green rooms. I've seen people, they just dig down and then they put the what you call it, just the green a little, and you can have your vegetables or your canned goods.
Yep.
Some people will bury it's like a giant. It's like a giant dome, kind of like your idea of putting a bus underground. They put a hole, put the dome, and then that's your fridge, and you keep all your canned goods in there. Yep. And I think that's where we're going, to this point where, like, I can't go to a supermarket. Even if I said, take all my money and sell me a good product food-wise, you can't even buy it. It's not accessible. And the stuff that is accessible that comes from the small farms from outside the city, they sell so fast because people know, So if you had the stuff, you got to give me the plug. I'll buy cans on cans, dude.
Someday we'll go one step at a time. Is there any way that people can get in touch or can follow along with your mission if they're interested and they want to support or they want to try your empanadas? Where do they go?
At Mi Empanada PGH, or at miempanada.com. That's MIEMPANADA.com. And the other one, if you want to follow a lot of the audio stuff that I do and music, you'll find that at Major Triad.
At Major Triad, at Mi Empanada. You heard it here first, folks.
At Mi Empanada PGH. I couldn't get. You know who has Mi Empanada? Some Venezuelan company called Mi Empanada. They have the inside. I try to buy it from them. Respectfully, though, they have
big company.
Yeah, I mean, I heard they're popping. I knew someone from Venezuela that lived around the corner. They said they're dope empanadas. And I was like, well, fuck, I can't compete.
It just means my empanada.
My empanada, yeah, that's a take.
What was the logic behind that?
I thought it was funny. Sitting there thinking of name, Mi Empanada. There is a My Empanada in Canada. I get calls sometimes ordering empanadas, and I'm like, bro, I can't deliver that. That's about like 800 miles from me.
Do you deliver?
We do small deliveries depending on the amount of if it's a catering or big enough, we'll charge. If we can do it, we'll take it. But otherwise, Uber and Grubhub, they have the market, you know.
Oh, dope. You're on Uber Eats?
Yeah.
Amazing.
You'll be paying twice as much, but yeah.
But still, Pittsburgh. You want an empanada.
You can get it. You can get it up to 1:45 in the morning. You can go and order food, and it'll come to your house. I send so many orders. It's so fun. It's obvious when people are intoxicated. I see it by the orders that come in. Some will be like just 3 Coca-Colas, or be like 1 empanada. You just paid $15 for 1 empanada to be delivered.
It's worth it.
Worth it. I get it. It is. It must be worth it.
It's like the film Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Okay?
I remember that movie.
The point of the film is these two guys really want a White Castle cheeseburger. Over the course of the film, they're offered various different alternative cheeseburgers, and they don't want them. They turn them down because this is America. If you want a White Castle cheeseburger, you should get one. And if you want a Mi Empanada,
you got to come. Yeah, got to come to the spot.
You should get it.
Yeah, and that's another thing. My buddy said, wise words from my buddy. He said, I've been in Argentina. Oh, no, sorry. I've been in America. If you make food, you'll make some money. If you make good food, you're going to get rich. I'm not rich yet, but
we'll do what we can, man. I love it.
And that's a wrap.
Yeah, bud. That's great.
That's amazing.